Robots Damia are attacking the positions of Russian occupiers. It sounds like a description of a science fiction movie. But in reality, this is now the truth. While Russia is pulling tanks, artillery, and other World War II-era weapons from its reserves, Ukraine has stepped into the future.
War brings losses, but our task is to minimize them to the maximum extent possible.
For the first time in history, Ukrainian fighters conducted an operation using exclusively robotic systems. The breakthrough was made by the Cartier Brigade. They were the ones who decided to deploy ground drones and other robotic weaponry to attack the positions of Russian occupiers near the village of Lipsy.
And as a logistical ground robotic system, which delivers both miners who are conducting remote mining operations without involving people, there is a mobile electronic warfare station, there are automated turrets with weapons that go out and position themselves where a soldier cannot go, such as in dangerous or inaccessible areas. The situation simply does not allow it. He physically cannot go there, but a remotely controlled robotic system can be deployed.
The military, of course, were on the battlefield, but they stayed away from the whistling bullets. Those dozens of pieces of equipment, which included foreign robotic drones, communication drones, and mobile turrets. These were bomber drones. They were operated by dozens, if not hundreds, of people in crews. It is known that the attack occurred in early December. Everything else is shrouded in mystery. This is not surprising. Moreover, correct. But now it can be stated that the number of such operations will only increase.
We are testing the concept of war and small operations entirely through robots and artificial intelligence.
What specific robotic systems does Ukraine have? What are their tasks? And how do the Iron Soldiers handle the tasks on the battlefield? All of this indeed in just a moment. Technologies in Ukraine are developing at a staggering pace. Everyone has just gotten used to kamikaze drones and other UAVs. Now ground drones are increasingly being deployed on the battlefield.
Currently, in Ukraine, there are more than 50 manufacturers of ground drones that have passed certification and initial tests as recorded by the Ministry of Defense, including the Ministry of Digital Transformation. That is those of which approximately 17 or 20 are certified according to NSE standards.
The Russians constantly scare their people with biolabs in Ukraine, and the occupiers have something to fear. Because on the battlefield, for example, there are indeed combat cockroaches. These small but very nimble machines have become indispensable helpers on the front line. Controlled from a camera loaded with mines, they move remotely, deploy, set up, and return back. They are very difficult to spot on the front, and even if an enemy drone detects the ground robot, catching it is a challenging task. Moreover, such a system is inexpensive and can perform a wide range of tasks.
It's essentially a small, compact toy car, but as the guys often say, it can perform a very wide, diverse, and varied range of tasks. It delivers medicine, it delivers ammunition, it delivers provisions. The stated load capacity is approximately 40 kilograms, but the guys say that when needed it can carry more or even more.
And this is the Volya E. The system is similar to the Tarakan, but more powerful. Instead of 2 mines, the Volya can already load 4. Mining is one of the main tasks of this ground robot.
It was made so that people wouldn't have to walk on the front lines, crawl through fields, or manually carry mines, such as anti-tank mines, for example. Instead, they can safely and efficiently drive this robot and remotely mine the field or road in order to complete the task.
However, multifunctionality is extremely important on the front line. The Volya E can also transform from a miner into a rescuer.
This tray is removed, special mounts for a stretcher are installed, the wounded person is placed there, and they are evacuated from the combat zone.
Horseradish, maybe. It can remotely travel up to 3 kilometers. In urban conditions, a kilometer. These seemingly small machines, but their usefulness on the battlefield is astounding. No person can carry up to 250 kilograms on their own. Do you understand? To carry 250 kilograms over rough terrain, we need 10 soldiers who are being monitored. Delivery of equipment, a bull, and other things, as well as mining. Very important. But there is another area where ground robots help. That is reconnaissance. This is done, for example, by this robot dog.
This is quite a new direction. It is being developed to release a robot dog equipped with a camera ahead of combat groups. It can scout and explore.
They are not yet very popular on the front, but their future is definitely bright. Besides important tasks, they can also provide moral support to the military. For example, give a paw, a robotic paw. But that's not all that ground drones are capable of. Some types can even calmly engage in firing. Moreover, very accurately. It was armed with a Browning 12.7 caliber machine gun. Targeting was carried out using an optical module. We had the capability to conduct aimed fire up to 2 kilometers. For now, this is also not very widespread, and there are no details about such drones. But most importantly, the enemy doesn't know about them either.
Even during several of our combat missions, radio interceptions were recorded during communications. The enemy was saying that it seemed to him that a BMP was firing at him. We were using explosive target cartridges at that time, and the enemy thought that a BMP was firing at them from a very long distance because it couldn't be heard, while we were actually 800 meters away from the enemy.
Ukrainian military personnel agree that ground drones, along with well-proven FPV drones and other UAVs, are the future. This is the future. The future UAV.
This is the future in our army because, first of all, it preserves the lives of our servicemen. It can indeed be said that today unmanned systems are the gods of war.
And these gods of war are under the control of Ukrainian defenders. Therefore, there is no doubt that new weapons will continue to appear on the battlefield. And soon, more and more often, Russian occupiers will complain about the work, particularly of ground drones. Well, we will be closely monitoring this and telling you about it. So like this video and let us know what you think. Ukrainian robotic systems. And be sure to subscribe to our new Arsenal channel so you don't miss all the most interesting things. Bye.
A remote killer that has already saved the lives of dozens of Ukrainian soldiers.
There is a fairly high chance that he will survive a shootout.
Capable of hunting down the Russians day and night, it can operate several kilometers away from the nearest Ukrainian positions. And the cost, comparable to a used foreign car, allows for the mass supply of the robot to the troops.
The point is for every soldier to be able to operate the robotic devices, such as drones.
The combat ground drone Lyut is already showing excellent results on the front. What is this complex capable of? What have Ukrainian engineers armed the Iron Baby with? And why can't the Russians spot it on the battlefield? This is what we'll discuss today in Arsenal. Drones have long become an integral part of this war. In Ukraine, they are even creating a separate branch of the military to manage such technology. And while the military learns to use it correctly, Ukrainian engineers tirelessly develop new models of drones. The best of them go into mass production. This is exactly what the robot Lyut has become.
The experiments that were just experiments 6 months or a year ago, now all these directions have become serial. The quality of equipment assembly is improving every month, and a certain segmentation is emerging. That is, some companies are beginning to specialize in certain narrow nodes in equipment assembly, and this allows for market development, forecasting aid, and faster growth.
Engineers worked on this iron little one for about a year. The idea itself, to mount a tank machine gun on a mobile chassis and make it work remotely, emerged a long time ago. However, it was only realized the army by the end of 2023.
We received a task, technical specifications from the military, stating that this robot should participate in more defensive operations, work in positions as a mobile turret, and perform distracting actions where it moves out, starts firing, and identifies enemy firing positions.
In December of indeed just last year, the first prototype was actually sent to the testing ground. It was there that the full potential of the Ukrainian Fury was revealed. Range of operation, accuracy, resistance to electronic warfare, and maneuverability. The drone met all the military's expectations.
There were several trips to the testing ground. These included shooting tests, as well as tests for communication range and operation under electronic warfare conditions. These tests were also conducted with the military, focusing on maneuverability and battery life. In fact, there are more than 30 protocols for these tests.
The results of the experiments showed the following. Communication range in direct line of sight is about 2 kilometers, and in rough terrain and urban areas it's about 700 meters. The effective shooting range depends on the type of machine gun. However, the cameras allow for clear target identification from a distance of 800 meters. When the tests were completed, the robot was sent to the front to test the Ukrainian Fury in action, where, by the way, the drone proved itself excellently. For Ukrainian UAV operators, Lyut did not become something completely new and incomprehensible. The control of the ground drone was specifically developed based on the principle of controlling a copter, which is well known to thousands of our military personnel.
It has a single control panel that simultaneously operates both the combat module and the platform. The platform is all-wheel drive, which enhances its off-road capability, and it can fire up to 800 meters. This is the distance at which the operator can recognize targets on the screen or through FPV-type goggles.
Meanwhile, another important detail was discovered on the battlefield. Lyut turned out to be quite a resilient little one. Even in the event of return fire from the enemy at the drone, destroying it is not so easy.
There is indeed a relatively high probability that it will survive the firefight. All control units are protected by armor. In other words, we focused on protecting what is necessary.
The robot also turned out to be quite maneuverable. Weighing around 300 kilograms, it easily navigates through thickets, crossing logs and ravines. The design is such that it will keep moving even if only the bare frame of the wheels remains.
It has wheels that are not afraid of being hit by shrapnel or bullets. This is because, firstly, they are not inflated. The rubber is simply used for better traction, and in the middle of the wheel there is a metal rim. So you can completely tear off this rubber. But the wheel will remain, and it will keep moving.
Moreover, it will continue moving, completely invisible to the enemy. The robot's battery provides it with a range of up to 20 kilometers. But the main thing is that it doesn't leave a thermal trace like a regular engine. And visually, it's almost impossible to spot this little khaki-colored machine during combat operations.
It's invisible to thermal imaging cameras because it doesn't emit heat like a human or some internal combustion engines do. Therefore, indeed, it can remain undetected and still deliver powerful fire.
The developers decided to implement powerful fire using a Kalashnikov anti-tank machine gun with a caliber of 7.62. With an ammunition supply of over 1,000 rounds and a camera with a 360-degree view, one can only imagine what Lute is capable of when it reaches enemy positions. And most importantly, without the slightest risk to the life of a Ukrainian soldier.
There is significant and growing interest in them now. Everyone says that we need to work as much as possible to save the lives of soldiers. And accordingly, such systems are being developed for this purpose.
The Ukrainian army has been actively utilizing these advanced systems for a variety of strategic purposes. For instance, they are employed to efficiently transport essential ammunition supplies directly to the frontline positions where they are most needed. Additionally, these systems play a crucial role in remote operations, such as the strategic mining of areas to prevent enemy attacks and the targeted destruction of enemy positions. This not only enhances the
3, 2, 1. Boom.
Now, mobile platforms will have another use: shooting the enemy at close range. By the way, the Lyut robot has already entered mass production. The developers are ready to assemble a dozen such units per month. By increasing capacity, the count will go into hundreds, or even thousands. Did you like this video? Don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to the channel to learn more about military technology and not miss new episodes of Arsenal.